Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
I promise there's not.
Fox's latest movie, Snow White, stars Rachel Zegler, who was reportedly upset when South Park took aim at the film. The animated series mocked Disney's new approach, directly calling out the drastic changes made to the classic story. These changes were meant to align with modern values, but the satire struck a nerve with audiences. The real question is, why did people react so strongly? And just how harsh has the backlash been? Many believe that the joke actually helped Zegler cope with the criticism, but the reality is far from that. Rachel Zegler and South Park, a clash over Snow White. For most South Park fans, the episode was just another example of the show's signature brutal humor, where no celebrity or pop culture trend is off-limits. But for Zegler, who leads Disney's latest remake, the situation felt deeply personal for Rachel Zegler.
It's lonely. It's very lonely. I just know that if that loneliness can exist, so can other things, and I will be okay.
And she openly shared that it led to an emotional breakdown. The content of the South Park episode, combined with the overwhelmingly negative reactions to her role in the movie, hit hard, making her feel like she was unfairly singled out. It's clear that the backlash surrounding her performance as Snow White has been far stronger than anyone initially expected. But that's just the beginning. In this deep dive, we'll not only examine South Park's sharp satire, but also the bigger conversation surrounding Disney's live-action Snow White remake, Rachel Zegler's emotional response, and the intense scrutiny she has faced ever since she was cast. By breaking down these layers, we can better understand the broader cultural debate on remakes, woke storytelling, and the pressure young actors face in today's entertainment industry. Before we unpack the controversy surrounding Snow White, it's important to explore how Rachel Zegler rose to stardom and the significance of her landing the role of this iconic princess. Zegler's journey from an unknown performer to a Hollywood sensation has been nothing short of extraordinary. Born to a Colombian mother and a Polish father, Zegler grew up in Clifton, New Jersey, where she was heavily involved in high school theater and musicals. Her big break came in 2019 when she was selected from over 30,000 hopefuls to play Maria in Steven Spielberg's highly anticipated West Side Story remake. Her raw talent, commanding presence, and powerful voice caught Spielberg's eye, and she quickly became the film's standout star. When the movie premiered in 2021, it received widespread praise from critics and audiences alike. Zegler's performance was celebrated, and many saw her as Hollywood's next major breakout star. Her future in the industry seemed unstoppable. Soon after West Side Story's release, Disney made headlines by announcing Zegler as the lead in Tawim, their live-action adaptation of Snow White, one of the most beloved animated films of all time. However, her casting quickly sparked intense debate. While some applauded Disney for selecting a young, talented, and ethnically diverse actress, others questioned the necessity of the remake and voiced concerns over how Disney planned to modernize the classic story, particularly regarding race and representation. With the spotlight on her growing even brighter, Zegler soon found herself at the center of a much larger cultural conversation about Hollywood's ongoing efforts to reimagine its most timeless stories. Disney has long been a dominant force in entertainment, creating animated classics that have enchanted generations of viewers. But with this remake, the response was anything but universally positive. Over the past decade, Disney has increasingly focused on remaking its beloved classics into live-action films, decisions that have received mixed...
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
...reactions from critics and fans alike. While some praise these modernized adaptations, others argue that they fail to capture the magic of the originals. Fox's new movie, Snow White, stars Rachel Zegler, who was left deeply upset when South Park took aim at the film. The animated series satirized Disney's new creative direction, calling out the drastic changes made to the original story. The goal of these updates was to reflect modern ideals, but the show's humor struck a nerve with audiences. This left people questioning, why did this satire hit so hard? And just how intense has the backlash really been? Many assumed that South Park's joke wouldn't bother Zegler, but the reality is much different. In fact, her response suggests the opposite. For most South Park fans, the episode was just another example of the show's signature irreverence, unapologetically roasting pop culture, celebrities, and even sensitive social topics. But for Rachel Zegler, who plays the lead in Disney's new remake, the situation felt deeply personal. She openly admitted to having an emotional breakdown following the episode's release. The way the show ridiculed the film, combined with the already overwhelming criticism she had received, made her feel unfairly targeted. It's clear that the reaction to Rachel's casting as Snow White has been much stronger than anyone expected. But that's not the only surprising part of this controversy. In this deep dive, we'll explore not only South Park's satirical take on Disney's direction, but also the broader conversation surrounding the Snow White remake, Rachel Zegler's emotional response, and the relentless scrutiny she's faced since landing the role. By breaking down these key moments, we can better understand the ongoing debate over remakes, woke storytelling, and the immense pressure placed on young actors in Hollywood today. Before we dissect the controversy surrounding Snow White, it's important to understand how Rachel Zegler became one of Hollywood's most talked-about rising stars. Born to a Colombian mother and a Polish father, Zegler grew up in Clifton, New Jersey, where she actively participated in high school, theater, and musicals. Her big break came in 2019 when she was chosen from over 30,000 hopefuls to play Maria in Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Her raw talent, striking presence, and powerful voice caught Spielberg's eye, making her an instant standout. When the movie debuted in 2021, it received widespread critical acclaim. Zegler's performance was celebrated, with many hailing her as Hollywood's next big thing. It seemed as though she was on a path to unstoppable success. Shortly after West Side Story, Disney made headlines by casting Zegler as Snow White in its live-action remake of the 1937 animated classic. However, the announcement immediately sparked controversy. While some praised Disney for selecting a young, diverse actress for the role, others questioned whether a remake was even necessary, especially given Disney's growing reputation for altering classic stories to fit modern themes. As discussions around Snow White escalated, the debate over Disney's live-action remakes reached new heights. The company, once known for crafting timeless animated classics, has spent the past decade remaking its most beloved films with modern updates, efforts that have often been met with backlash. Critics argue that these remakes frequently fail to recapture the magic of the originals. Moreover, many feel that Disney's attempt to be more inclusive and socially conscious comes at the expense of authentic storytelling. Rather than creating new, original narratives that reflect modern values, they believe the company is retrofitting old stories to push a progressive agenda. The Snow White remake has become the epicenter of this ongoing debate. Supporters highlighted the importance of representation in Hollywood, while critics saw it as unnecessary deviation from the source material. Many accused Disney of prioritizing wokeness over authenticity. But casting wasn't the only change. Disney also confirmed that Snow White's story would be reworked to align with modern feminist ideals. The original 1937 film portrayed Snow White as a passive character, whose ultimate goal was to find a prince and live happily ever after. That outdated narrative has long been criticized for promoting gender stereotypes. In the remake, Disney is flipping the script, presenting Snow White as a strong, independent woman who doesn't need to be saved. While many see this as an empowering update, others argue that it strips away the timeless appeal of the original story in favor of political messaging. As backlash intensified, Zegler found herself at the center of the storm, not just for her casting, but for her outspoken support of the film's progressive changes. Given South Park's long-standing reputation for skewering pop culture trends, it was almost inevitable that Disney's Snow White remake would become a target of their satire. Her emotional response was a raw reminder of the pressures that young actors face in Hollywood, especially those involved in projects that spark controversy. She admitted that the backlash had become overwhelming and that the South Park parody only amplified the negativity. Rachel Zegler's struggle is just one chapter in a much bigger conversation happening in the entertainment industry. The company's approach, recasting traditionally white characters, reworking female leads to be more independent, and modernizing narratives, has been divisive. Supporters see these changes as necessary progress. Critics, however, argue that Disney is sacrificing the charm of its classics to push a political agenda. For Zegler, this ongoing debate has put a shadow over what should have been a career-defining moment. Whether Disney finds the right balance between modernization and tradition remains to be seen. But for now, the Snow White controversy rages on. What do you think? Is South Park simply mocking Disney's latest remake? Or is it exposing a deeper issue in Hollywood? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and follow for more updates.